start 1 p.m. Started a couple minutes late today, but nonetheless, another Square and Compass Promotions live stream, once again talking about Freemasonry. As always, this first hour, it's just a matter of really waiting to see who finds us, who shows up, and anything that they want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts that they have, positive, negative, or neutral, I would love to hear them. Then the second hour, I think I'm going to switch over, and this time, today, talk about historic places days and why I think that could be a very important promotion, a very important event taking place in June, July. That could be very beneficial to Freemasons, more specifically Masonic buildings, or those who are responsible for facilitating, running, organizing Masonic buildings. So that is something we will chat about in the second hour. But as always, in this first hour, it's just a matter of waiting to see our audience, see who finds us, and what it is that they want to talk about. And thank you, everybody who is here so far. Please, when you join, take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Start that poll. And yeah, let's just give it a bit of time to see who finds us. As always, though, this first hour really is going to be just me hanging out and waiting to see who finds us and what it is that they want to chat about. And welcome. If you are just joining us and you're new to the stream, my name is Cameron Adamson. I do these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we chat about Freemasonry. Dad is here. Hello, Dad. How's it going? So any thoughts you have on Freemasonry for the first hour, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Today's topic, the second hour is going to be specifically about historic places days, what that is, and why I think in Canada a lot of Masonic buildings could benefit from being involved in this event. Belligerent Chad, I have no idea what that says, belligerent, but nonetheless, thank you so much for being here. I hope you will be so kind as to hit the like button and subscribe button, please. Let me know how it's going, and let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. Hey to yourself as well. Thank you for being here. And Dennis, thank you for being here as well. I hope you're having a great afternoon. I am from Canada. I live in Windsor. I grew up in Winnipeg, but Windsor, Ontario now. So let me know where you're from. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry or anything else that you want to chat about. Again, the first hour is just meeting the audience. The second hour is specific topic. Today's specific topic is Freemasonry and the preservation of historical buildings, or historic places days. Never been to Cleveland, unfortunately, but I'd love to go one day. I think that there's a really cool Masonic building there, or really cool Masonic lodges there, so it's on my list. Well, belligerent, unfortunately, I am a Freemason, so I guess that would make me vile. But I like to think of myself as actually a pretty decent fella altogether. Dennis, we won't hold that against you. Yeah, it sounds like Dennis might be saying people from Cleveland are vile. So, be careful where you throw stones. Raised Eyebrow is back. Welcome back, Raised Eyebrow. Thank you for being here once again. Thank you to everybody who's taken part in the poll questions so far. 3 votes. Do you support the 4 votes. Do you support the preservation of historical places? 3 yes, 1 no. Belligerent Chat, if you're still there, I'd love to know from whence you get the idea that Freemasons are vile. What is it that is coloring your opinions? And maybe, if nothing else, I can convince you that I'm not vile. Yes, although I wouldn't call it a secret society, I would call it a society with secrets, which is different. Kinair, welcome back. I feel like it's been a little while since I've seen you. And Freemason, it's one word. Well, I guess some people spell it one, some people spell it two, to be fairness. I've always spelled it one. No space between free and mason. But I think in some jurisdictions it's spelled with a space. I think even some people hyphenate it, though I've never seen that. So yeah, so from whence do you get the idea that we are quote unquote vile? And I say we because once again, I am a Freemason, joined in 2007. So I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, which is crazy. 295. That is very, very impressive. And good for him. Freemasonry actually has always had a really strong correlation with blood drives and blood donations, so it's awesome to see. Well, see, belligerent Chad, that's one of the areas where I got to disagree with you a little bit. Like the Illuminati, I always find it kind of ironic that Illuminati and Freemasonry gets tied in together because famously, the Illuminati was started as an anti-Masonic group. The person who started the Illuminati, and I can't remember his name, actually started it because he didn't like Freemasonry. First he thought it was too expensive to join. He wanted a cheaper option. And he also did not feel that they were actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Sufficiently esoteric or mystical or whatever terms are. So the Illuminati was actually started as an anti-Masonic group. Why would you even create Freemasons? Could you explain the origin of that? Sure, that's a good question. Although they weren't created in the way like you create a tool, right? Like they were created, they were evolved from stonemason guilds. So I'm going to give you the short, quick version, belligerent, Chad. We can go into a little bit more details if you'd like, but basically in the Middle Ages, there existed stonemason guilds. These were guilds of men at that time. It kind of was what it was. Guilds of men who built things out of stone. It could be anything from cathedrals and castles to walls to houses to small farmhouses. But they were men who were highly skilled in the ability to build things out of stone. And as a way to protect trade secrets and as a way to protect their training and make sure the training of apprentices was done well, that their trade secrets were kept, and that they were able to look out for each other and support each other, because at that time there was no welfare, there was no sick leave, sick benefits. You had to look out for yourselves. They formed themselves into trade guilds, which in modern times would be considered equivalent to unions. And these unions or trade guilds in the Middle Ages were responsible for the training of stonemasons as well as, hope everybody's okay, as well as taking care of each other like a union would in 2025. I'm very sorry, I'm gonna have to close my window in just 1 second. I hope you don't mind the siren going on out there. Anyways, we'll give it 1 second. All right, there we go. This was in the Middle Ages. And then pick your date, I usually go 1623, men who were not themselves stonemasons and were not interested in becoming stonemasons, but wanted to join these unions as a way for social support, as a way for protections, and also just because they were interested in being part of a community, asked to join. And they were called speculative masons would be the term. So back in the day, let's say I'm interested in joining a stonemason guild because again, I want the social support and I want to be part of a group. I go to them and I say, look, I want to join and be part of your club, but I don't want to work with stone. I just want to be part of the social aspects of it. And yeah, that was kind of how it evolved as a way for men to be part of something that was bigger than themselves. And over time, it evolved from there. 1717. By 1717, the number of speculative Masons greatly outnumbered the number of stonemasons. And so it kind of evolved from there. The first Grand Lodge was formed in 1717 in England, and it evolved forward. So I see two questions there. What role does this society play in modern times? And not a question, just a statement. Freemasons do H sacrifices. So when it comes to the idea of H sacrifices, I've been a Mason for 20 years, thereabouts. 2007 I joined. I've never seen a sacrifice of anything, human or otherwise. Because I've heard some conspiracy theories say Freemasons do animal sacrifices, which we do not either. So if they do, I must have been missing out, because it would have made the meetings more interesting, to be honest, in some cases. But I've never seen that in any meeting I've been to, and I've been to, at this point, probably thousands of meetings. I mean, assuming an average of 3 meetings per week since 2007. I'm just going to do the math in my head quickly. I'm going to do the math in my calculator, excuse me. So let's see. 2025 minus... So I've been a Mason for 18 years. In those 18 years, that's 936 weeks. And assuming an average of 3 meetings per year, 3 meetings per week, 2,808 meetings, which would probably be about where it's at. Belligerent Chad, so do you deny all allegations against Freemasons? I mean, I don't know, because I don't know what all the allegations are. So I have no clue. I certainly deny the allegation of sacrifices of any kind, human or otherwise. Because again, it's not even a matter of denying it, it's just not something that happens. Again, if having been to at least 2,808 meetings or Masonic events, I feel like at some point I would have seen something if sacrifice was not even a common or uncommon occurrence, just an occurrence at all. Hold on, I'm gonna go close my window or close my door, because I don't want any more. Sirens to come through. I'll be right back in just 1 second. You can still hear me talking, I hope. I'm just gonna do this now. And I'm back. Sorry about that. All right. So belligerent. I think you're getting kind of some of your terms mixed up there. Illuminati and Freemasons are not the same thing. Again, Illuminati was actually started as an anti-Masonic group in 1888, if I'm getting the date correct. It was started by someone who did not like Freemasonry, because he thought Freemasonry was too expensive, and also because he felt that Freemasons were not mystical or esoteric enough for his liking. What I can say as, not an Illuminati, and to be honest, I don't believe they exist anymore at all, is just personally, I don't believe the Illuminati has any hold over any policy making of any country. But that's just me speaking as someone who is very, shall we say, skeptical of almost all of those claims. Certainly, I can say Freemasonry does not have any type of hold over the policy making of the U.S. or any country. And I think that's a good thing. Look, I believe Freemasonry is a wonderful organization. I believe Freemasonry in its ideals is wonderful, like everything. I think it was C.S. Lewis said there falls a shadow between conception and creation. there also falls a shadow between conception and implementation, because the ideals of Freemasonry have to be implemented by human beings. Human beings are imperfect, make mistakes, get things wrong, are oftentimes can be selfish, oftentimes can be cruel, oftentimes can be all sorts of things, right? And so can be lazy. So you're never going to fully be able to implement the ideals of any organization. But at least what you hope is you start with good ideals and then you do your best to implement them as well as you can. And I believe that, Freemasonry, the ideals of Freemasonry, if they were implemented well, would make the world a better place, including policy decisions, but every Freemason has his own views on that. And the other thing to keep in mind is in Freemasonry, we're not allowed to discuss religion or politics in lodge. So what my ideal policy for Canada, the US, is as a Freemason might be completely different from the ideal policies of the Freemason sitting next to me in lodge, and that's perfectly fine. What is the purpose of Freemasonry in modern times? Does it work for betterment of society as a non-profit organization? Well, there are approximately, and this is an approximation, 850,000 Freemasons in the United States. In my jurisdiction, Canada, there are 28,500 approximately. So there are going to be in Ontario, there are going to be 28,500 different answers to that question. Because every Freemason has his own view of the purpose of Freemasonry, or at least the purpose as to why he joined. I will say for me, and I speak exclusively for myself, the purpose, the belief of a Freemason, my belief, is that the world can be made better through the practice of brotherly love, relief, and truth. And when I say better, I mean better through things like charitable endeavors, the Masonic Charitable Foundation, the Shriners, as my dad points out, funding of hospitals, as well as, I talked about this yesterday, providing a space for men, and there's also women Freemasonry, by the way, that doesn't get any attention, but it deserves more, but providing a space for men to hang out, associate with one another, not be isolated. That's especially important for older men. I've told this story before, but I know one gentleman who was in the hospital incredibly ill, and his wife told me that what helped him recover and gave him kind of hope to recover was the fact that he knew that if he got better, he could return to his Masonic lodge and be with his Masonic brothers again. It gave him something to look forward to. I don't know if you've heard this stat before, belligerent Chad, and I believe this stat, by the way, based on my own experience in Freemasonry. But if somebody has a heart attack, a stroke, some type of major medical issue, and ends up in the hospital, they are 2.5 times more likely to have some type of secondary medical emergency or to pass away even if they have no visitors, or if they have no social support network. But if they have a social support network, somebody to come to visit them, a Masonic brother to visit them, they are far more likely to recover and far more likely to recover with fewer complications. So also, the one other thing I'll say is Freemasonry also is, in my opinion, a social safety net. Again, my brother in his, Masonic brother, let's say he loses his job. Let's say he has a medical expense. Let's say his kids, God forbid, have a medical expense. Let's say he has heaven forbid, his wife passes away and he can't afford the funeral costs. Freemasonry is there, hopefully, to provide benevolence to assist him in those matters, to help him pay for his rent, pay for funeral expenses. And I've seen it. I know brothers who, were it not for Freemasonry and benevolence, would have ended up on the street. And their families may have ended up on the street as well. So, I'm a person, and again, I speak exclusively for myself. I personally do believe that as much as possible, it's better for individual to individual or private group to private group to help our neighbors out, help our community members out, as opposed to relying on governmental aid. I'm not saying there's not a place for that, for governmental assistance. I think there absolutely is, but my preference would be before it goes to the step of needing the government to intervene, you have friends, neighbors, or Masonic brothers who can intervene and help out. And I've seen that in my own experiences. I would also, sorry, I do see belligerent chat. I do see your question about, or your statement about being found guilty. I do just want to mention one more thing. Again, I speak exclusively to myself here. But you mentioned, does it work for the betterment of society as a nonprofit organization? I absolutely think it works for the betterment of society. When you say as a nonprofit, Freemasonry is going to fall under different categories in different areas depending on the tax codes and the local legislations, right? Because Freemasonry is under different jurisdictions. So Freemasonry in Texas is governed by the Grand Lodge of Texas. Freemasonry in Ontario is governed by the Grand Lodge in Ontario. And there are different designations. The one designation it will never have is a religion, because Freemasonry is not a religion. So if anybody ever calls it that, you can assume that they are clandestine and not legitimate Masonic organization, but just using the name and title of Freemasonry to try to steal membership, basically. Greetings from Austria. Welcome, Austria. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's nice to have somebody from Austria here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. So belligerent chat, I'm going to make 2 notes on what you say there, on terms of being found guilty of scams. So I have no doubt that there have been many Freemasons who have been found guilty of many offenses. I talked earlier, right, there falls a shadow between conception and creation. There also falls a shadow between implementation, between ideals and implementation. What that means is Freemasons are human beings. You will find in any organization human beings who commit all sorts of crimes. I'm sure there have been Freemasons who committed money laundering. I'm sure there have been Freemasons who've done all sorts of things. But also if you were to take the average number of football players, you're going to see the same thing, right, as a percentage, or any group or organization. But the other thing to keep in mind, belligerent chat, is I use that term clandestine above. A lot of people, and I've came across this in my own travels, will say, I like the symbol, the square and compass symbol of Freemasonry. Like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but if I could get my arm up here, I like this symbol. I like the way it looks. I like the phrase Freemason, so I'm going to start Cameron's Freemasons Lodge. I'm going to start it in my garage. I'm going to charge people $500 to join. I'm going to tell them that if they join, they can, get all sorts of benefits and money, and then just take the money and run, right? So sometimes when you say Freemasons have been found guilty, is it actually a legitimate Freemason, which would mean someone who is recognized by a Grand Lodge? Recognition is the way in which we understand each other to be Freemasons. Or is it somebody who just called himself a Freemason, put up a sign, stole the symbol, and that was the end of it? The example I would use is if I never bothered to get my driver's license, make up a fake one, jump on the road, drive, and crash my car into a light post, you're not going to blame the driver's license system. You're going to blame me for pretending and faking something I did not have. And there are examples of clandestine Masons, otherwise people who claim to be Freemasons but are not, who commit all sorts of frauds and all sorts of, I can't tell you how many messages I've got on social media. Join the Illuminati, you will get $1 million if you just send us $250 or whatever it is, right? I've got $1 million, or join the Masonic Order of the Illuminati was one I think I got. And again, hopefully most people don't fall for those, but if somebody does, they get scammed. That leaves them a very bad taste in their mouth, and now they're going online talking about how all Masons are evil or scammers. So MKXYYX. Again, it's wonderful to have somebody from Austria here. I don't know if I've ever had somebody from Austria here in the past. I do hope you will be so kind as to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Let me know how it's going. I would love to have some more subscribers on this channel. So thank you so much for being here. And please answer our poll question and let me know if you know anything about Freemasonry in Austria. And also, let me know, belligerent chat, if I answered your questions well, if maybe you still think the same things as before, if maybe I gave you something new to think about. Either way, I hope that maybe I gave you something new to think about. If you want to support the channel, same thing with our friend from Austria, anybody else. A good way to do that is to go to Patreon, patreon.com/squareandcompass. You can join for free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a free thing where you can support me that way, or there's, different levels per month. Unshielded Believer, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, no, I have not yet had the chance. I wish I did, but it's on my list of things to check out for sure. I hope once again you will hit that like button and subscribe button, everybody who's new to the stream, and let me know how it's going. As always, this first hour, it's just us hanging out, waiting to see who joins. And the second hour, we're going to talk about historic places and why I think historical places are so important that we as Freemasons support them, including our Masonic buildings, but not exclusively our Masonic buildings. Oh, I'm one subscriber away from 2,100 subscribers, so just one away. Eight votes so far. Do you support the preservation of historical places? Yes, 88%, no. So yes is in the lead, but there is one no vote. If you were the no vote, maybe let me know why you picked no. And if you were a yes, let me know maybe why you picked yes. And let's just give it a little bit of time, as always, see who else joins us. If I had the opportunity to work on the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission, I'd do so in a heartbeat. That sounds incredible. I'm sure that would be an absolute blast. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that because, again, I think one thing in Freemasonry that we need more of is we need to be willing to do more supporting of our historical buildings, which are critically important, I think, to our Masonic lodges. I don't think our Masonic buildings get near the respect that they deserve or that they should have. And I understand, why it is, for example, that in Freemasonry, they sometimes don't get that love and respect, but I would hope that they would get a lot more. Because there are some people who say, well, the building is not important, it's the people. I think the people are the most important, but the buildings are pretty important too. I think the buildings matter a lot. 9 votes. Looks like, yes is still high in the lead. So raised eyebrow, do you have a favorite example? I'm just curious. Do you have a favorite example of classical, like not even, like classical, I should say, but New York architecture, New York historical buildings? Is there one that you particularly love? Or even Masonic buildings that you love? Because I'd love to hear what it could be. Harry, I grew up in England, and their historic buildings go back a lot further. That is true. Historical buildings in England are a lot different than historic buildings, time-wise, than historical buildings in than here in Canada. Although, you know, couple hundred years aren't isn't much to sniff at, though. In England, it's what, a few thousand years, like Hadrian's Wall. So, yeah, historical buildings in England are a little bit different than here in Canada. I love architecture as well. So maybe you want to look into, I'm sure that they have something similar to, if I hear Le Corbusier, I have no idea what that is. What's Le Corbusier or Le Corbusier? I hope I'm pronouncing that. I have no idea how to say that. He was an architect who was big on mid-century modernism and brutalism in architecture. What are some examples of his work? I'd love to check them out online. Maybe what I'll do is, yeah, maybe maybe I'll look up some of that stuff. I'm wondering if there's maybe any examples in Freemasonry of Masonic buildings that are either modernist or brutalist in their architectural design. I'd love to, like I said, I'd love to know kind of, because I honestly, architecture is something, even though I talk a lot about it when it comes to Masonic architecture, it's not something I know about in the more broader context. Most of our Masonic buildings are neoclassical in design, um, as opposed to modern or brutalist, because again, they were being built in the 19, in the 1920s, and Freemasonry as an organization does tend to want to derive from itself um, classical roots, Middle Ages certainly. But is there an example, raised eyebrow, of a brutalist, like a famous brutalist example of architecture? And by the way, thank you everybody who's joined my Patreon as of late. I do appreciate it. So as always, we're going to wait until approximately 1 hour in, and then I'm going to start talking about my specific topic. Today it is Historical Places Days. The Geisel Library stands out. And by the way, Raised Eyebrow, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate you providing me with this information. I love learning new things. You know, as much as I enjoy being on these streams to talk to people about Freemasonry, I also love learning new things as well. And I appreciate you sharing some of the things that you know with me. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. I just pulled up Geisel, or is it Geisel? Hard G or soft G? Library. Wow, is that an interesting looking building. So I guess that'd be brutalism. I can understand why it's called brutalist. Oh my gosh. I'm going to just share this. I'm going to switch my camera on for just 1 second, just so people can see what this looks like. Oops. That is, I guess, brutalist or modern architecture. Wow. I do not know any Masonic buildings that look like that. I'm going to check. I'm going to type this in. Masonic buildings, brutalist architecture. The Sydney Masonic Center is a notable example of brutalist style. It is designed with exposed concrete, bold curve, and advanced structural engineering, all hallmarks of the brutalist style. Huh. He was an architecture. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I don't look. I think I do believe to a certain extent that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you know, I do kind of prefer more neoclassical, but you know, the Sydney Masonic Center, I will say it doesn't look terrible to me. It doesn't look as stark as the library. I'm still not a huge fan of it though. From an architectural perspective, I still think I prefer neoclassical. Soviet architects built some of the hallmark buildings and monuments in the brutalist style. It was a product of an era, hard to see it coming up now. Yeah, but maybe, who knows? Maybe we will find a balance, right? I do believe in life is balance, and maybe there are ways to incorporate some of the brutalist style into more neoclassical or modern architecture. What would you say is your favorite architectural style, if you had to pick one? But also check out the Sydney Masonic building. Let me know what you think of that, Raised Eyebrow. Because I'd be really curious to know. Ryan, welcome, Ryan. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for being here. Beaux Arts, neoclassical. Neoclassical is what I like. Even Deco and Art Nouveau all over the place. So what would you say, and I'm guessing this is going to be a tough question, because it's like me asking me my favorite, asking me what my favorite Masonic building is, because there are so many that I love. But what would you say is your favorite just building in general? You have to pick one building that you think is the best example of beautiful architecture. Not even in New York per se, just anywhere. Because I know above you mentioned a New York building, but I'm curious if there's one maybe just in the whole world that you think of as you think of like a perfect example. For me, it would be the Windsor Masonic Temple, just because I have such fond memories of it in there. It's the architecture as well as the memories therein. Detroit Temple is incredible. If I didn't have so many fond memories, or not even fond, if I didn't just have so much of a relationship with with Windsor, Detroit would be up there as my favorite. Detroit or maybe Philadelphia. I've heard of that one. Um, I'd love to see uh, more of it. El Escorial. I'm gonna look that up. I've never been to Madrid, but I was searching Freemasonry in other countries, and Madrid came up. And so I do want to start spending more time traveling outside of North America for Freemasonry. Woolworth Building in New York. I've heard of that. Most of my historical or architectural knowledge came from when I used to watch How I Met Your Mother. I'm assuming the Alice Square Monastery, and Ted was an architect, so every now and then he popped up, and we talk about architecture. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful building that is! I'm just looking up Royal Site of San Lorenzo de El Escorial. It is absolutely beautiful. By the way, I saw that on a side note, I saw that Ontario and Manitoba reached a potential trade agreement, including alcohol sales between the two provinces by the end of June. Some Masons may want to take advantage of that and maybe bring some. If you're a Manitoba Mason, bring some Ontario alcohol into your lodge, and if you're an Ontario lodge, especially let's say in Kenora, bring some Manitoba booze into your lodge. Might be a fun way to try something different, try something new, you know? I'm a firm believer that Freemasons should support local, but we should also support our country. The Sydney Masonic Center, I guess it does look a little bit, in fairness, like I guess in fairness, it does look a little bit like a spaceship, so you're not wrong on that one. Going to give it a little bit more time to see who else joins us before I start on our main topic, which once again will be Historic Places Days, which is a Canadian initiative, but that doesn't mean, and I'm sure that there are many similar initiatives happening around the world, happening when it comes to our Masonic, not Masonic buildings per se, but just historical architecture, which is such a critical and important part of our Masonic experiences. I try my best. By the way, I am looking at potentially another event at the coffee club in June, which I can maybe engage border cities with again. Um, we don't have any more meetings until October, but we can still do, just because we don't have any more official meetings doesn't mean we can't do some other things. I'm curious how long an observer should observe before beginning the petition process for full membership. I think really that just depends. I don't honestly think there is a good answer. I think for years, Freemasonry, it was far too quick, uh, far too soon for a lot of different reasons. Masons wanted to get a lot of people in their wanted to get as many people as they could into their buildings for financial reasons, sometimes to get the dues, as well as maybe they just had lower numbers and were trying to rank them up. So it was a situation of, you show up on Monday, and you show up Monday at 10 a.m. and by Monday at 2 p.m. you've got a petition in your hands, which I don't think is the correct approach. I talked about this yesterday, right? I think you need to get to know the person who's interested, why they're interested, and ask whatever questions you need to ask to feel comfortable having them join. And I still feel that way. But I also think it is possible for somebody to take too long, where, especially if they start to feel like, if they're taking part in all the social events, going out to dinner with the brothers, all of that, they may start to feel like they don't need to join anything else because they already get the social aspect of it and they feel like they don't need the ritual work. So it really depends. What I would say is, once a interested party feels like they've gotten to know the lodge members and feels like they would get along with them and knows them well enough to feel like they would make good friends, that's when you put in your petition. And for some, that can be a couple months. For some, that can be a year, maybe. But I think that's kind of the way it goes. Now, there may be some who never want to join, but who just like taking part in some of the social events, the coffee clubs, the whatever it is. And you know what? I think that's awesome, genuinely. And if that's all you want out of the experience, then great. You can still go to coffee clubs or dinners, get to know the guys, and you can contribute in other ways. Maybe one day you bring the coffee, or you bring donuts, or you invite others to join the social functions who those others may want to join. So really it's a personal approach. But I would say, in my experience, if you've been observing for 2 years and haven't yet applied, then you're probably never going to do so. The family ties could definitely encourage them. Raised eyebrow. The family ties could definitely encourage them, and which is great. Whatever encourages you to join, I think, is a good thing. But just make sure that whatever you're joining, you understand, and you understand the people you're going to be sitting in lodge with, and you like them, right? Because that is the most important thing. If you don't like the people you're going to be sitting in lodge with, it's going to be a very challenging experience for you. By the way, I hope that you are doing well. I hope everybody will be so kind as to hit the like button and subscribe button. I'm 1 subscriber away from 2,100 subscribers, so let's see if we can get there. And in another 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to start talking about my main subject, which is going to be Historic Places Days, what that is, how people can join, and why I think it's important for Freemasonry. Jim, we find that what we get. Welcome, by the way. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to talk to you more about your upcoming event. It's going to be amazing. Maybe some of the partnerships we can have. We find that what we get from Freemasonry is a direct relationship to what we put into it. That's very true. That is what they say. That is what I've been told a million times. Although what I will say as well is, one of the dangers that can exist when people join Freemasonry is they think like, welcome back, belligerent chat. Thank you for joining. I'm trying to think of the way to describe it. Like, I heard this joke before, Jim, about and other things, but I heard this joke about job interviews, and the joke was, you always get that question, why do you want this job? And the joke answer was, because I want money, because I like food, and I like to be able to pay for food. But I've never liked that answer. You know, to me, if you're joining something, even if it's a job, but it could also be Freemasonry, it could also be anything, right? If you're joining something, you shouldn't be joining for what you can get out of it. You should be joining for what you can contribute to it. So when it comes to a job, right, it's like, yes, I want to get paid whatever it is, but I'm not, you know, I can get any job. The reason I want this specific job is because I feel like I have skills and abilities that I can apply to this job to make it better, to make the job better, to make the world better through this job. And with Freemasonry, it's the same thing. It's like when people ask me now what Freemasonry can offer, my response has always been, it can offer you the opportunity to fight for a better world. And that's it. It's not going to make you rich, not going to make you famous. Um, it may, you know, take a lot of sacrifice from you. It may take a lot of things from you. It may take your time from you, may take time with your family from you. Um, there's a financial obligation, not very much, usually between $100 and $200 a year. But what you're given is the opportunity to fight for a better world. And that should be in any time. If you're joining anything, you should not join with the goal of getting something from it. You should join with the goal of contributing to it. Belligerent Chad, by the way, feel free to share this stream. If you know anybody else who has some of your views on Freemasonry, I'd love to hear from them. And maybe I can tell them my views and opinions on Freemasonry, as well as anything you want to chat about. But thank you for being back, and I hope I was able to answer your questions. Um, your questions well. Last night was a family and friends night. Awesome. I'm glad it was a family and friends night. I hope it went very well. Um, well, in fairness, you were once locked out when on your installation, in fairness. As you were just proceeding, a boy asked me if I had been locked out. Well, if they were smart, they'd keep you out, but that's a whole other can of tuna. No, I'm glad that you had a family and friends night. Those are great events. Jim, I don't know if you've ever had family and friends night or anybody else has ever experienced a family and friends night in a Masonic setting, but those are great things. And I think we need more events like that in Freemasonry. You know, positive events that bring in families, bring in friends. You know, you request dispensation, et cetera, but I think ultimately those things can be so helpful to our Masonic experiences and help combat some of the ideas maybe people like Belligerent Chad sometimes have about Freemasonry, is getting to see it through such an event. So thank you so much, everybody, by the way, for being here. Please, as always, take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I am one vote away from, or one subscriber away, excuse me, from 2,100 subscribers. So I think that would be kind of cool to get. So I'm hoping I get there today. I've watched Join or Die, which I don't think, I got to be honest with you, the fact that that's the title of a movie, even though the movie has nothing, well, doesn't deal with Freemasonry directly, the fact that that's a title is very ominous. But no, I agree 100%. I've watched that movie. I do want to do, I've written about the book on which that movie was based, Bowling Alone. But I saw that movie at the Alma Masonic home in Alma, Michigan. And so I think it's a wonderful movie, and I think it does 100% demonstrate why Freemasonry is so valuable, why not even Freemasonry, but why civic engagement and civic society are so valuable. And one of the reasons why I started Spring Harvest Promotions, because I think Freemasonry has so much to offer the world. And I think we as Freemasons are in many cases dropping the ball in not being able to, not offering those things that, I hope that we start to offer more, do more work, do more family and friends night, do more events like what Jim is putting on. I think we have opportunity to make the world a better place, and I think we have a responsibility to try. Okay, so I was thinking Join or Die in terms of the movie that has come out recently. It's Join apostrophe or Die, I think. Join as political slogan and visual symbol created by Benjamin Franklin, a Mason, by the way, in 1754 to encourage unity amongst the colonies in North America. Very cool. See, my defense, I'm Canadian, but I always think of the snake image as being the "Don't tread on me" image, as opposed to anything else. But that's really cool. But don't forget, Jim McPherson, I don't want to be the person who uh, uh, shows off his music knowledge, but nonetheless, Jim McPherson, I would remind you of the famous quote by Janis Joplin, and maybe written by, oh my God, I can't think of who it was written by now. Oh, now this is going to bug me. Uh, Chris Christopherson. So when you say freedom is for everyone, I would rejoin with Janis Joplin's famous quote. And if anybody knows what the famous quote is to which I'm referring, in response to the statement freedom belongs to everyone, please put it in the chat. I would say freedom is important, but there are many important things as well. I do think one of the things about Freemasonry is that in our ritual in Ontario, but in other rituals as well, it talks about, like it says, for example, there is no liberty without the supremacy of the law, which I 100% agree with. By the way, welcome everybody. Please take a moment if you're just joining to hit that like button and subscribe button. I'm going to be talking today about historical buildings, more particularly in Canada, Historic Places Days. So I hope that you will join me for that. I'm going to talk about that in another 5 minutes or so. The first hour of these streams is me just chatting with people about Freemasonry in general. The second hour is when I have my specific topic. In this case, again, it's going to be the preservation of historical buildings, Freemasonry, and Historic Places Days in Canada, which is a Canadian initiative, but it does. I'm sure there are similar initiatives worldwide. Like Jim, I don't know if you know of any Michigan initiatives to preserve our historical or to preserve historical Masonic buildings. If you do, I'd love to hear them. And if you know of any Masonic buildings that are heritage designated, Detroit comes to mind, and any preservation work that they do, I would love to hear those as well. Because I'm a big believer that, our Masonic buildings are one of our greatest and most important and most underappreciated resources, basically. By the way, Jim, if you do want to put in the chat now, feel free. If you do want to promote your upcoming festive board, by all means, you can write something in the chat to promote it. But I do hope we can do an interview where we go more in depth about it, what it is, what you're looking forward to about it, why you're doing it, all that type of stuff. I do want to say, though, I was extremely lucky to be at your festive board when was it now? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the date of it. Let me just see if I can pull it up on Facebook now. But you did an absolutely amazing job at the 2 years ago. There you go. I was very impressed by it. It had been maybe only my third festive board that I'd had the chance to attend. But it was incredible. It was very, very well done. I found it incredibly informative and educational. The one thing I'd say for this, keep in mind, is this stream is open to both Masons and non-Masons. I believe your festive board was open exclusively to Masons. Uh, but yeah, I'd love to have a full interview with you where we can promote it. And like I said, maybe we can do a thing where you guys come to our fish fry, that which is open to families, by the way, and in exchange we come to your festive board. And by the way, to any Essex County people watching this festive board of which I'm speaking is not too far from us at all. You know, I got there on a bus. They are, and this one in particular is really special and really fun. So let me see once again if I can track down the flyer. Saturday, June 14th. So basically 1 week after our fish fry. So I'm sure we could do something. A lot of different guest speakers. A lot of them look incredible. $70 person, cash or check. And payment needs to be done by Friday, June 6th. Those are very basic, but you can write something in there more specific, and we can do an actual proper interview. But what I will say is if you are a Mason and you're watching this, and I'm going to say specifically you are Essex County or Michigan, Madison Heights, Michigan, 850 Horse Ground, not too far away. This is exclusive to Masons, entered apprentice or up. They are having a table lodge Saturday, June 14th. Tickets are $70 and it's going to be an incredible event. I've got the flyer, so get in touch with me at, here, let me just share. Let me just see if I can share my contact info. If you contact me through that link and you are interested and you're a Mason, entered apprentice or above, I will share with you the information on how to take part in this festival board. I'll show you the flyer anyways and whom to contact. See, I love seafood. I never got huge into fish and chips, but I will say our fish and chips at the fish fry are really good. We got it down to a science, I think, how to cook them. After been doing it for what, 30 years? I don't know how long the fish fry's been. At least since 2007 when I joined. It's actually a table lodge, which means it's a tiled EA lodge with all the openings and closing rituals. Perfect. And you know, if you are an entered apprentice, I know sometimes for a lot of entered apprentices, they can feel kind of, I don't know what the right word is. They can feel kind of, what's a good word to use? A little bit intimidated going to special events like this. But to any entered apprentices out there, I would say you shouldn't. It gives you a real opportunity to grow within the craft, especially at a very new level. Or it gives you opportunity to grow in the craft, and to learn more about it and to kind of kickstart your Masonic journey. So even if you are an entered apprentice, you know, don't ever feel intimidated about going to, whether it be a table lodge or a banquet or a special event or to travel. All of these things actually will only enhance and grow your Masonic experience. That is something I've always kind of argued. Yes, fish and chips are great. I agree with that 100%, especially ours. It includes 7 toasts based on Lord Nelson's Battle of Trafalgar. During the battle, 7 messages were sent to England. I think it's interesting because both Napoleon and Lord Nelson were both Freemasons, right? I could be wrong about that. I believe Napoleon was a Freemason. The messages were carried by the HMS Pickle. Well, then we should do toast with pickle juice for the record, to keep things more interesting. I'm just sending this to a couple. By the way, I am going to also mention one more time before I start on the main topic. If you want to support the channel, another way that you can do it is by going through Patreon. Patreon.com/square and compass. You can join for free. It doesn't cost anything to become a member at the Patreon page. And it's a great opportunity to help and support the channel. Yes, I agree. Everyone does have a different number of toasts, and they are special. I've been to 3, and I enjoyed each one of them. The first one I ever went to was in Hull Whistle, many, many years ago. Far longer ago than I'd like to even think about, to be honest. Time goes by very quick. But yeah, it was really special. And nothing but respect to Jim, nothing but respect to Madison Heights for putting on this event. Nothing but respect to Northwood Ancient Craft Lodge number 551. Because I know how much work it is to organize any of these events. They are incredibly special. And, yeah, it's one of those things where I think sometimes we in Freemasonry, especially if we're not the ones organizing the events, tend to not give enough respect to the people who do. So nothing but respect to Northwood, and I think it's going to be, if my attendance 2 years ago is any kind of symbol or any kind of indication, June 14th is going to be a really special event. So if you're in and around Madison Heights, or heck, if you could even fly there, Detroit's got an airport, take advantage of the opportunity. All right, so I'm going to switch it up now and talk about my main subject. Having said that, if you ever want to jump in the chat, I hope that you will do so. Today, I want to talk about Historic Places Days, which this year is taking place July 11th to July 20th, 2025. But it is, the registration is taking place now. So if you are, let's say, a owner, a facilitator, you're on a board that is responsible for the preservation or the administration of a historical building, including a Masonic historical building. Jim McPherson is signing off. Thank you so much for being here, Jim. Keep in touch, and yeah, maybe I'll get to see you. Like I said, May 23rd, May 24th, we have 2 days of really special events, and it'd be wonderful to have you join. I could, vouch for you, etc., and it'd be a great chance for you to promote your event to some Canadian brothers. So, join hundreds of historical sites across Canada for the 9th annual Historic Places Days. This nationwide event invites you to help shine a spotlight on historic places from coast to coast to coast in Canada. Sites like monuments, cultural landscapes, geocaches, and Masonic buildings are more than welcome to register. Over 900 historic places participated last year, and we are poised to reach even more places and people across Canada. Learn more about Historical Places Days below and register today. How to participate in Historic Places Days. Historic Places Days is all about increasing visitation to and growing awareness about historic places in person and online. By participating in Historic Places Days, visitors can enjoy your site in person and through virtual experiences. This is your opportunity to connect your site to a national marketing campaign and a larger audience to raise awareness for your special place and spark meaningful connections. You can register your site on Historical Places Days website by filling out a simple online form. If you've participated in the past, as has the Windsor Masonic Temple, for example, it takes one click to update your details and indicate that you participated this year, or indicate that you will participate this year. And you can do this in both English and French. So if you are a historical place in Quebec, for example, or in a French community, including a Masonic building in the same, now is your chance. The link is this here. Spirit of Justice. By the way, Spirit, thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you ever get the same feeling by visiting a place, maybe in a more virtual setting. Because one of the things Historic Places Days tries to do is encourage visitation virtually. And actually, what I'll do is I'll leave the French version as well in here, so people can sign up en français. New for Historic Places Days 2025. This year, we invite you to share stories from arts, crafts, and storytelling, and artistry that connects us to our past. From intricate woodwork, textiles, weaving, indigenous traditional crafts, music, and more. Exploring Historic Places Days through the lens of craftsmanship and creativity allows us not only to admire the beauty, but also celebrate the enduring legacies that continue to inspire and evolve. During Historic Places Days, we want to provide you with tools that help you participate in the event and promote your site. Sign up for the upcoming information session or check out the FAQs on our Historical Places Days website. The Historical Places Days information session is June 13th, 2025 from 12 to 12:45 p.m. I'm going to go through some of these FAQs quickly. And I'll leave a link to this in the chat as well. So FAQ, check out our helpful tips and tricks. So first, if you are a Masonic building and historical and you want to register for Historic Places Days to promote your building virtually and in person, is there a fee to register with Historical Places Days? No, Historical Places Days is 100% free. Do I have to be a member of the National Trust to participate? No, we do not require any form of membership for you to participate in Historical Places Days. All you need is an email to sign up with. Can you register a historical district? Yes, historical districts and cultural landscapes are perfect places to register with HPD. Do sites need to be registered in both English and French? No, while we encourage each registration to be accessible to both French and English audiences, there is no requirement to register your place bilingually. Can an organization register for multiple places? So for example, could the Grand Lodge of Manitoba or could the Grand Lodge of Ontario register multiple historical Masonic buildings? Yes, once you create an account through your website, you're able to register as many places as you please. Is there a deadline for registration? No, we keep registration all year round. However, the earlier you register, the more exposure you will get. Does my place need to be recognized as a national historical site to be included? No, we encourage the registration of historic places regardless of recognition or designation. National historical sites make up only a part of all sites registered with HPD. Can a monument historical memorial be registered? Yes. So for example, could the Masonic War Memorial here in Windsor be registered? Yes, it could. And you don't have to pay to register. So Dad, if you're still there, maybe it might be worth considering having the East Kelowna Masonic Temple register for a historical place. I don't know how old it is, but even if it's done in the 50s or 60s, you could register it and maybe look at doing open houses or virtual events to encourage people to visit your site. There's the link one more time for you to consider checking out, or you can share it with your temple board. And, I think, again, it is, to me, incredibly important that we as Freemasons try to promote and support our Masonic buildings. it is, and you can do this in a variety of ways. You can hold open houses where you actually invite members of the public to attend and provide guided tours of your building. You can rent out space for special events or even offer event space for free just to get people through the doors. Or you can offer virtual tours, or you can sign up for um, events like Historic Places Days. I mean, as Spirit points out, it is absolutely incredibly dangerous, but incredibly possible that historic buildings can be torn down if they're not well cared for. That's why my hope is always first and foremost that we as Freemasons preserve and protect our Masonic buildings. But if we cannot do that, my second hope is that if it gets sold to somebody who will themselves preserve or protect our Masonic buildings. Or at least, maybe they're going to change into a restaurant, preserve or protect the facade of the building, like they do in Los Angeles, for example. Many Masonic buildings there are still preserved or protected. Knowledge, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you are doing well as always. They could organize an emergency meeting, maybe, depending on, because the event itself, Historic Places Days, takes place July 11th to the takes place. Let me just double check the dates now. Takes place July 11th to the 20th, where basically from July 11th to the 20th, they encourage historic buildings to hold a series of events, either virtual events like virtual tours, virtual setups, or in-person events to promote the building. And they provide toolkits on events that you can hold, and they promote the events that you're holding during that time. The information session is June 13th, virtually 12 to 12:45 p.m. So maybe Eva or something could even look at doing it virtually. It's a way to increase visitation to your site and to connect with community of amazing historic places. So it's also a way for different Masonic buildings, which are historical, to connect with one another and learn more about what's happening with them and how other Masonic buildings, you can learn from each other. What is this Masonic building doing that is maybe increasing visitation, membership, use of the building, increasing revenues to the building, and how can we copy that in our Masonic experiences? So, I think that's really special and could provide a lot of great opportunities. But I hope everybody is doing well. Please, if you are just joining, take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I wonder if there's anything about North Star. You can even make a visit list where you start to list places you want to visit. Why not include Masonic buildings in that visit list? I'm going to put the main, right, the motto for this year's Historic Places Days is every place a story. Think of all the Masonic stories that exist that we are not sharing because we're not taking advantage of these events, I think it's a real shame that more of our Masonic stories are not getting out there to the public. Good. I hope that the investigation went well. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for being here. And yeah, investigations are a part of it. Absolutely. We talked before about information that you need, information that should be provided, information that lodges should be looking for. But I hope the investigation went well and keep me informed. And as always, I appreciate you being here. By the way, I am working on a few things, including coming up soon, a major stream on Monday morning I started Monday, Victoria Day. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think I may try to do that for an entire day and see how that goes. Just for something different to try, something fun to try. All day streams are tough because they take so long, and you got to keep kind of going. But nonetheless, I think it's worth it as something to practice and something to try. So. I'm just seeing I can share the stream with a few more people. So Dad and anybody else watching this, I hope if you are a Canadian, well, really if you're any historical place, but specifically if you are a Canadian Masonic, how do I put this? If you are a Canadian Mason and you're connected to a historical place that is Masonic, I really hope you will check out Historic Places Days 2025. I hope you'll consider registering your building for it and learning how you can, because also registering your building for these, taking part in these events, it helps, amongst other things, it helps potentially you find, helps potentially you find grants and grant applications. So you need to keep that stuff in mind. I've always said Freemasonry needs to be more involved in the community in various ways. That includes some of these grant applications, that includes Historic Places Days, that includes being involved in the virtual community. I wish we were more involved in some of these things. Monday is not, that is true. Monday is not, but that doesn't mean, maybe some people will still be taking the day off. Who knows? But maybe I'll get more Canadian involvement in my stream if I do an all-day stream on Monday and maybe start it at, let's say, noon instead of the usual 1 p.m. stream and go right through until, who knows. But I hope everybody is. Yeah, when is your out of curiosity, Courtney? When is your next holiday coming up? I guess it'd be July, right? July 1st or July 4th? 4th of July, sorry. July 1st is Canada. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for being here. If you are just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I hope everybody is doing well. We were talking about Freemasonry and historical places, the preservation of historical places, why I think it's important that we as Freemasons do whatever we can to support the preservation of our historical buildings. I think that stuff is absolutely vital to a successful Masonic experience. That's not to say that Freemasonry cannot find success in newer buildings, but I just, like everything else, it's a sense of community, a sense of home, it's a sense of story, and that is what historical buildings provide for Freemason. More in the States, Courtney, way more American Freemasons than Canadian Freemasons. Part of it is partially because there just are more American Freemasons than Canadian Freemasons. Part of it is because I have the connections to Detroit, I think, which affects it. And there's also just more people on YouTube from the States than from Canada. So, it kind of, the numbers game is such. Imagine myself fighting fires Monday, Memorial Day. By the way, I hear it's crazy hot in Manitoba, in Winnipeg. I think I posted something about that on Twitter just because I saw it. It's like a crazy uh, heat wave. So I hope that as a result of that heat wave, you manage to enjoy your casual dress day at the lodge, which I think more lodges are looking at doing stuff like that, to be honest, moving into a more casual dress style, or at least making it a special thing where like once or twice a year you have a casual dress day, as opposed to constantly having to wear a suit and tie, which some lodges don't require a dress code at all, in fairness. So it really does just depend on the lodge itself and the dress code. In Ontario, there is a dress code, and some lodges, for fun, will do a dispensation and do a casual dress day. So, when is Memorial Day in Texas? Is that July 4th? No, that's Independence Day, right? May 26th. Okay, see, I'm learning something new every day. Do you know, Harry, is your lodge planning anything for Memorial Day or any type of these events, like a barbecue, anything to that extent? Because there's always, there you go. Do you know, is your lodge doing anything for that, Courtney, or not? Like just Masonic lodges in general? Do they go in parades, things like that? I'd love to know more about that because I love seeing Masonic bodies in parades and floats and things like that. I think that stuff personally is awesome, and again, we should be doing more of it. Just give it a bit more time to see what jumps in the chat. I hope that I also, in one second, I'm going to run to the washroom, then I'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about historical places days, and again, things that you can do in your lodge to promote your building. The one that I'm focused on today is Historic Places Days, Every Place a Story, which runs from July 11th to July 20th, 2025, a national event hosted by the National Trust of Canada. Historical Places Days is a platform for individuals and organizations to showcase the places and stories important to them in their own words. As the presenter, the National Trust for Canada recognizes that Canada's history and heritage is complex and contentious, dominated by different perspectives. We are working hard to enrich our awareness of our collective past. We welcome your input on how we can work together to be more inclusive now and in the future. So I hope that everybody watching this will consider, especially if you're a Canadian Masonic building that is heritage at all, Dad, your building as well, East Kildonan, take part in this, right? I left the links above how to do it. It's a platform for individuals and organizations to showcase the stories and places important to them in their own words. So why not have somebody showcase the places and stories that are important to the stories and the place of the East Kildonan Masonic Temple, because that is an important place for the Masons of Transcona and East Kildonan for that matter. Good. I hope that they do, and I hope that maybe they take part somehow. Like I said, in a million different ways they could do it. So they could take part in a parade, have a float. They could there's just a million different things that they can do. And I hope that they, barbecue, family event. So I'd love to hear what exactly they are going to do. There's actually a really cool YouTube clip about this, which might be worth sharing. The hashtag for this is hashtag Historic Places Days, and there's a newsletter you can join. Some of the places that you can explore. So from there's the Patty Sikh Temple, British Columbia, Locomotive 6167 in Guelph, Ontario. You can get directions to it. You can view the place there. Like if I were to, view all places and type in Masonic in 1 second, filter search keyword Masonic. There's two. There's the Windsor Masonic Temple, and then there is the Twillingate Masonic Lodge in Twillingate, Labrador. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. Give me one moment. Okay, I made it back. I just got a package delivery there. So you can learn more about Twillingate. I actually had them on the podcast in the past, Twillingate Masonic Lodge in 111 Main Street, Twillingate, Newfoundland. I'd love to visit that one day if I could. A wooden 2.5-story steep gabled roof structure located on Main Street, built in 1906, constructed and adorned in the tradition of Newfoundland Masonic halls, with elaborate detailing of the exteriors. The designation is confined to the footprint of the building. I'm going to share this with you guys. You're going to learn more about Twillingate Masonic Temple in Newfoundland, excuse me. I'm going to share this on some of my socials as well. All right, so I think that is going to cover the main topic point. I left the links in there. Please keep in mind and think about if you are involved in any way, shape, or form with a heritage Masonic building. Either you visit in one or you. I don't want to say heritage. It doesn't need to be officially designated. It can be a building that you just is old, right? Please consider taking part in Historic Places Days, or talking to somebody about taking part in Historic Places Days. All right, I am going to, because I have to go like crazy, run to the washroom. I will be back in a moment. If you guys could all take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out my friend there. That is my co-host while I go to the washroom. I'll be back in a moment. And then we'll finish off with, just as usual, discussions, anything people want to talk about. So give me 2 moments. I'll be right back. I made it back. Hey, and Bong's shown up. Welcome, Bong. I leave for 2 minutes and Bong arrives. Thank you, Bong, for being here. That is true. That is usually the case for Masonic dress codes, Courtney, but it depends on, again, the lodge and the jurisdiction. And I mean, I've been to some places where there is no dress code, or there's a dress code exclusively for officers, but not for other individuals. So, and I've been to some where dress code is officers wear tuxedos and, membership wears suits. So it really does depend on the lodge. Yes, to the bathroom. So I am back. Thank you. That was very much in your namesake situation. I leave for a minute and you sneak up on the chat just like a secret agent would. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody is doing well. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like and subscribe button. I was chatting about Freemasonry and historical places, more particularly the, I think, importance of Freemasons supporting and preserving our historical places, which I think we do not do nearly as well or as often as we should. I hope everybody will take a moment to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And let me know how it's going. But now we're back to just the Ask Us Anything portion of the stream. We did have some people on earlier in the stream who had more negative views of Freemasonry, which I never mind chatting to them, because even if they have negative views, it's still fun to chat with them and talk to them and maybe explain why I think they're incorrect and why hopefully they will reconsider. But Bong, I hope that you are doing well. How are things going in your lodge? And I hope everybody watching this is having a great day as well. I was saying I do have some plans. I think one thing I'm going to do is do a full day stream on Monday, because Monday is a holiday here in Canada, Victoria Day. Might be fun to maybe start a stream at noon and go through for, a few, maybe till 8, 9 at night, who knows. No worries, Bong. I'm sure it'll happen. Just takes time, right? Patience is a virtue. And so, yeah, don't rush it. Don't even rush the Masonic process at all. Not even waiting for contact, but just getting your degrees and all that type of stuff, right? It's a process. It takes time. That's the best part of it is just giving yourself time to enjoy it and not rushing through. I'm not trying to take on everything all at once, as sometimes happens, right? Where people join and then next thing you know, they join, they get their Master Mason degree, then they join Scottish Rite, then they join York Rite, then they become officers in those rites, then they, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it absolutely will drive you crazy. You could do that. You could do that and knock on the door. No guarantees. If they're having a child meeting, they might be in the middle of it and not have the chance to come get you. But I am not opposed to doing that. I did something similar. I mean, I went up and knocked on the door. There was nobody there. So I left a letter, but I've gone up and knocked on doors, even as a Mason. I cannot tell you the number of times during my travels I've seen a Masonic building and just gone up and knocked on the door to say hello. Yeah, even if you don't, maybe knock on the door anyways. I once accidentally set off an alarm in a Masonic building because I went to go visit it, knocked on the door, no one answered. Then I tried to open the door because I thought maybe there'll be somebody inside or whatever. Opened the door, somebody forgot to lock it, but they set the alarm. So I opened the door, and then the alarm starts going off. So I ended up sitting outside waiting for the police to show up to explain what happened. The police never showed up. There was somebody inside. He didn't see me. He turned off the alarm and just went back to the lodge room. But yeah, I remember that. That was in London. No, sorry. That was in... that was in St. Catharines, if I recall correctly. Or no, that was... Oh my God, I can't remember what city that was in now. I've been to so many. But I remember turning off the alarm. Grand Master Manitoba lets his officers know what to wear when they visit with him, tux or dark suit or gray suit. Welcome. I hope that you are doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button if you're joining us. I hope you're doing well. I was talking today earlier about Freemasonry and our historical buildings. I left a link for Historic Places Days, an opportunity for you in Freemasonry to share your historical Masonic building with people in Canada and throughout the world, both in a virtual setting and then to hold events in person. Well, they'll have similar setups. I mean, there'll always be slightly different setups, but they're similar. Right, where there are differences, though. That's, again, goes back to this idea of Freemasonry has a commonality of purpose and a commonality of design, but there are unique differences between different lodges, and that is one of the and different jurisdictions, and that is one of the most fun things about travel, is getting to see in a different jurisdiction how the lodges are different, and that's something I love to see. One of the commonalities, though, you'll see all the time is the worship master will always sit in the east. I've never been to any or heard of any Masonic setup where that is not the case, where the worshipful master is not sitting in the east. And more often than not, the senior warden is in the west and the junior warden is in the south. So that is a pretty common element. Welcome, by the way, if you're just joining us, I hope you'll jump in the chat to say hello. Please hit that like button and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and what it is that you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I've been a Freemason myself since 2007. I can't guarantee you I know everything, but hopefully I can at least provide you with some general answers on my expertise as it comes to both what I think makes a successful Masonic experience, as well as what is more likely to make a successful lodge, as well as what I think is more likely just in general we should support, as well as my thoughts in general on Freemasonry and my travels. And welcome, as again, if you are just joining us. I do these streams every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think, honestly, on Monday of next week, May 19th, I'm probably going to do a stream, maybe even starting at noon and going for as much of the day as I can, just because it's a holiday year, and I think it might be kind of fun to try a full day stream. Again, it's been a while since I've done a full day stream, but try a full day stream, see how it goes, and see if potentially I will be able to, find some more people. Maybe talk about the connection between Freemasonry and Queen Victoria, Freemasonry and the British monarchy. Yes, I remember Brownwood. You mentioned that. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to go and visit them. It would be a lot of fun. 17 votes about the preservation of historic buildings. Yes is still very well in the lead at 94%, which I think is great to see. I'm sure they are, and I'm sure it would be wonderful to get the chance to go and visit them. Fingers crossed I get to do so soon. And I was thinking, I'm not even opposed to trying some more midnight streams on this channel to see how those go. Just because, again, it's something different to try, something new to try. When it comes to Freemasonry, we need to be willing to experiment and try new things and try different things. Try different times of the day. With, you know, for YouTube and stuff, it's trying different times of day, trying different topics. For Freemasonry, it's maybe trying different Masonic events. Trying for example, as that I was talking about, trying a casual day, trying a family and friends day. All that stuff is critically and vitally important. I don't know what this Pi Network news is, but I'm really curious. Pi Network digital currency. There's something else I've talked about a lot is the necessity of Freemasonry to consider being more engaged and involved with cryptocurrency, which I know a lot of people are not huge fans of, but I think there's actually significant opportunities there. You need to be careful. You need to be smart about it. You can't be kind of stupid or lazy or take too many risks. But if we're willing to engage in different areas, I think it can only be a benefit to Freemasonry. And I am still working on my personal YouTube channel. I'm going to have another stream there. On the weekend, another midnight movie watch along. In that case, it's going to be Slumber Party Massacre Part 2, just because that was a suggestion from somebody on this stream. So. Dean P. Good afternoon, kind sir. Good afternoon, Dean. Thank you so much for joining. I'm not sure if you've been on the stream before or not. If you haven't, welcome. Thank you so much for being here once again. Or thank you so much for being here. And if you've been here before, thank you for being here once again. I hope you're doing well. This is my stream where I talk about Freemasonry. So I hope you'll be so kind to hit the like and subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, Dean? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love it if you would share that. Any questions or comments? To anybody watching this, please jump in the chat. Say hello. Okay, the Clampers. I still have not heard back from them. That's right, but I want to get them on the stream because I'd love to learn more about their specific not even Masonic organization, but their specific fraternal organization and their order, the challenges they have faced and how they are trying to overcome them. So it's awesome. Thank you for being back. I truly appreciate it. As always, hit the like, hit the subscribe, etc., etc. Say to everybody. Knowledge. Do you think it's, I mean, I'm sure it is. They would be very impressive because the number of lectures in the first, second, and third degree are not tiny. But I'm sure it's possible. You know, I've known brothers who probably are pretty close. I've known brothers who could do entire degrees just all for themselves. So, you know, credit where credit's due. That's nothing but impressive to me. You know, Freemasonry is a skill, and one of the skills it teaches is memorization. So I am sure there is somebody out there who has got all 3 degrees fully memorized. It'd be impressive. I mean, there are people who memorize like Moby Dick, the entire work. So I'm sure it's possible. Where do I need to find their contact info? I think I tried to get in touch with them through Facebook or something, but never heard back. But people are very busy, in fairness. And so being busy like that, you know, they may just not have the time to be on a podcast to talk about the Clampers, but I'd love to have them on because, again, it's one of these things. It's one for all for one. I think we in Freemasonry need to try to be supportive of our brothers in various fraternal organizations, even ones that are not Masonic themselves. Me too, Dad. I know some charges, but not all. I wish I knew more. But it's like everything else, right? There's only so much time that people have when it comes to this type of stuff. So, by the way, to Dean, who's watching this, to everybody who's watching this, one thing also that we can do, if you'd be interested, is I would love it if you would support me on Patreon. You can do so completely for free. It doesn't cost anything. And it would be wonderful to have more members, more community members on Patreon. It really is just a way to support me. Although as a patron member, especially at the paid level, you are able to learn more about what's the word I'm looking for? You get more exclusive benefits you don't get otherwise. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody who has been here. Please take a moment if you're just joining to hit the like and subscribe button. Oh my gosh, that's a whole stream and a half. I mean, the Oddfellows, similar, and this is roughly speaking because I'm not an Oddfellow, similar lodge setups, similar officer progressions, similar buildings. The Oddfellows is much younger. And I can't speak to the ritual because I've never seen an Oddfellow ritual before. But yeah, I would say those are the main similarities. But that's a skill in and of itself, Dad. Don't forget when you say that. Learning, just being able to recall a lecture you've already learned, that is in and of itself a skill. There are a lot of people I know who cannot, they learn a lecture once, they do it well, but they have a hard time recovering it once again. So don't forget about, make sure to take credit in the fact that you're able to both learn and maintain your Masonic, lectures. Because I know a lot of people who are not able to do that, unfortunately. So that's a skill. I mean, I didn't even say unfortunately. I just know a lot of people who learn something but have a hard time maintaining it or learning it over again, or it kind of comes in and out. So some people, and I'm very jealous of these people, as I think all Masons are, they can read something once and then they've got it memorized and then they never have to study it again. And that's true for any piece, old and new. I know some people who, they can remember the pieces they've already learned, but they have a hard time learning new pieces. It's just really tough. So, I saw your work with the charity lecture. It was very, very well done. So you should be proud of your memorization skills and abilities, because not everybody has those. I don't know the grasshopper speech on the top of my head, but that could be jurisdictional, right? We have the final charges. I would say in our degrees, oftentimes what is considered to be like the most challenging would be what we would call the junior warden's lecture in the first degree, or the general charge in the installation, both of which are very long and are indeed very challenging, but very fun as well. And when you get them learned, it's a big, you feel really proud of yourself when you're able to successfully, get those accomplished. So. But I do want to have at some point some kind of memorization expert on the podcast to talk about techniques for memorization and how Masonic lodges can learn more or how Masonic members can kind of excel in the skill and ability that comes with memorization. Because it is, as I said, skill and ability, and a lot of brothers, you can learn techniques to make yourself better at it. I truly believe that. So, oh, Ecclesiastes. Okay. Yeah, Ecclesiastes does pop up. Um, I don't know. It's shorter of a lecture, so I don't find that one too challenging myself, relatively speaking. But I think everybody has their own. So that is true. That is true. He has to prepare the repast as well. So it's, being a junior warden is definitely the most challenging position in lodge, without question. It's very, very hard. I've always said the most important is the junior deacon because he is your guide into Freemasonry. So what he can mean for a lodge and for a degree is vitally important. But everybody kind of has their own views as well, on who is the most important, what is the most challenging, etc., etc. Let's give it another, let's say, 5, 10 minutes. Let's see who else joins us. Uh, Jumps in the chat to say hello. Before we may end this stream, I will be posting a lot more on my social media, though, coming up about what I have coming up. Um, so that's going to be really. So, as I always say, please try to follow me on all the different social media sites, all my different platforms, because I try to post everywhere as much as I can, but I'm not always going to get to every site, every platform. So, hopefully, one of the things about this stream, this channel is, or my social media is, if you're following me everywhere, if I have a big announcement and I miss one platform, you can find it on another. Um, Thank you so much for joining, though. Please, I hope you'll take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe button. If you are new to this stream, I do this stream every Monday through Friday where I chat about Freemasonry and my views on it, and I hear people's response. I usually try to spend a bit of time talking about a specific topic. Today it was historical places, both the preservation and promotion of the same, and a very special initiative taking place in July to promote historical places, and why I hope Freemasons become involved in that. And you're going to see me posting a lot more on social media about that in the coming weeks. If you have any thoughts as to things you want me to talk about tomorrow um, on my stream, let me know, and I will do my best to get to them. I did, and it was incredible. It was in Puerto Vallarta, so it was absolutely amazing. I think I talked about like diverse languages um, in Freemasonry, and like there are so many incredible and amazing Masonic rituals being performed or recited in native languages, Hispanic, Russian, French, Portuguese, you know, that I love it. And I think getting to hear Masonic ritual in a language other than English is really special and something that if you get to travel as a Mason, you should absolutely try. And also, you may even be able to do that without traveling out of your country. Like there are Hispanic speaking lodges in California, I know for sure, Los Angeles. There may be some in Texas. It would not shock me at all. You know, there are French speaking lodges in United Grand Lodge of England. There are just so many different Masonic lodges that may perform ritual in a different language. It's worth exploring to that. And welcome. Thank you again, everybody who is here. I hope everybody is doing very well. Please take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe button if you're just joining us. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. We're gonna have another one tomorrow, 1 p.m. ish. And I got a few different things I was thinking of talking about for tomorrow. Mindfulness might be one of them, to be honest. I don't even know what that means, but it can go pretty deep. I mean, if you're talking about the rabbit hole of Freemasonry, there's always something new to learn, right? That is one of the best things about Freemasonry, in my opinion, is the fact that no matter how much you think you've learned, there's always more to learn. And that is something that is really special, really fun. It's going to make you feel like you never want to get complacent or feel like you've learned it all. That's a very big mistake. That's a big, my opinion, my personal opinion, for whatever it's worth, that's a big mistake in life. But that's also a very big mistake in Freemasonry. That's true, and that's one of the fun things about it. It's like you're hearing the language, you're hearing a different language, but yet you know what's going on, and that is something that is really special. And helps remind you of the universality of Freemasonry, the universality of the craft. The fact that even in your travels, even with a different language, you understand what's going on. Also, it's also why I always suggest to new Masons, learn how to set up a lodge. It's so critically important that you do that, because if you learn how to set up a lodge, you are going to be able to learn how to prove you're a Mason, even if you don't speak the language. You can just set up the lodge. You know where the master sits, the wardens sit. That proves you're a Mason if you can't, provide them with the passcripts or passwords in specifically, because you don't speak the language. So that can be a really special thing. Okay, I have very much enjoyed this stream, as I enjoyed every stream. But I think I'll be calling this stream off for today. I will be back tomorrow. It's going to be a great asking to know is a very good thing. Most people, if they are genuine in their love of something, they're going to be more than happy to, they're going to want you to ask, and they're going to be more than happy to try to answer it as best as they can. I can't, again, promise that they'll be able to answer, but they're going to try their best. Dad is taking off. Goodbye, Dad. Thank you to everybody who's joining. It looks like we just had somebody new jump in and at least answer the poll question. Do you support the preservation of historic places? If you're new to the stream, jump in the chat, say hello, hit that like button and subscribe button. But maybe what I will do, like I said, maybe I'll call this stream off. But as I was always saying, follow me on social media. so you can keep up to date with everything that I'm doing. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night, and bye for now. And as always, hit like and subscribe.